take just a minute for it to connect. Sometimes a little bit slower minute than others. Here we go. All right. Marie, is Linnell in Keys now?
She's in Grand Rapids.
She's still up there. Wow. When does she come back?
She's leaving on the 27th. But she plans to make a couple stops, I think, along the way.
Yeah, we were looking at her her travel plans. We kind of looked at how all of that is going to work for her coming through and things that she could look at along the way. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about what we're going to do. To answer Martin's question, we're looking at legacy accounts with our digital data. So there's, you know, Apple operating systems and Android operating systems are going to use slightly different words for these things, but both of the operating systems have this type of thing. In Google, it's called Inactive Account Manager. And in Apple, it's called Legacy. So first question is, how many people already use one of those? Either Inactive Account Manager or Google or Apple Legacy. Carlene does. Jackie does.
Except I can't find it now. I set it up when we had this class before, but I don't know where it is. I put my daughter's name on it, the whole thing. I told her about it. She said, "What's that mean?" You know, I said, "Well, you should go to a tech class sometime." Right.
I love it when the parents get to school the kids once again. So I'm going to go ahead and share screen. What I did was do a bunch of articles that I'm going to share with you later on with the with both of them. So we've got inactive account manage. As I was doing the research for all of this, and I'm actually not ignoring you, although I am ignoring you right now, because I'm looking at all of the links that I have saved, and I'm opening up all the links, which is kind of interesting because there's a lot more than I knew there was. And both of them have, like I said, the Apple and the Android have very similar things, just different names for them. But I learn something every time I do research for this class. So I'm just gonna start with the first one, which is the one that kind of got me going on all of this. And I think that this was something that for some reason, I think Google notified me that this was an option. And so I said, okay, let's look at it. So if we're going to look at, there may be times, oh, we lost the Joy Crew. Well, that was weird. Huh. I really don't want them to miss this. Hang on. Let me just get a hold of Terry and see what just happened. Where'd you go? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Super. Okay. So Google asked if I wanted to set up a inactive account manager. And so I said yes, because at some point in time, let's just take oh, I don't know, if I were to get sick, let's just say I had a mild illness but required some hospitalization, and I was not able to take care of any of my stuff digitally for a short period of time. So when that happens, oftentimes, because most of my life is digital now, there's going to be information that I would need access to while I'm hospitalized. For instance, do I have a insurance card? I guess I do, but all of my cards are digital. My family going and finding my actual physical insurance card would be much more complicated because it's all digital. Now, it's always good to have the backups, but you want to make sure that if you have everything digital, that people have access to it that need to have access to it. You're incapacitated for a temporary period of time. You go out of the country for an extended period of time. Let's say you go somewhere for 6 months. You go on a vacation or an adventure or a round the world cruise, whatever, and you aren't comfortable with accessing certain things because of security reasons. When we leave our home base, sometimes security is not what we think it should be. And so you're going to make an account inactive. And then, of course, we have at the extreme end where, and good morning, Amy and Linnell. And then we have the extreme end where we get dementia. We get forgetful. We get not even dementia, but maybe just can't remember our passwords at all in an unusual way. And now I know the whole conversation about not remembering our passwords, but you can't remember your core password. You know, there are things that are going to prevent us from being able to access. So we want to make sure that we have help with that. Then the other end of it is we die. And then our kids or our spouses or our significant others are stuck with this huge account and this base of information that nobody can access, and yet it's still there. So we want to make sure that those people have access to it. Terry, what's wrong?
I was trying to give Bob everybody's last name from the screen. Nothing's wrong. I was trying to find a good way to show him everybody's name to do a count.
Well, on the computer, you can open it up so it has, so you're clicking on participants. And that should open up a sidebar of who's here.
Yeah.
Did it work?
It's okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go, before I start diving hard into what we're really going to learn and do, I want to know, does anybody have any questions about what I've said so far? Why we do this, situations where it would be important, any of that? This all makes pretty logical sense, yeah? Okay. All right, so we're just going to dive into sharing screen. And we're going to start with inactive. Get rid of all these little blocks here. Inactive account manager. Now, anyone who has a Google account, and that includes all the Apple users and the, you know, if you use other programs, like if you have a Microsoft Cloud, iCloud, no, OneCloud, I think it's called OneCloud. Any of the other programs where you've got cloud accounts. Let's say that you are primarily an Apple user, you have all Apple devices, and you have a Google account. Whether you use it as your Google email or you use it for other things, it doesn't really matter, but let's just say you have both, but you're primarily an Apple person. Apple people, remember that if you have a Google account, you still probably want to have an inactive account manager set up on your Google account because there's still data there. And once you no longer can access, want to access, or need to access, there's got to be a way for somebody to close all of this down so it's just not floating out there in cyberspace. Which, you know, you can be hacked after you're gone. So that would be a really good reason not to create more headaches for your survivors or the people managing your accounts by making sure that they're set up to take care of it. So I will be sending you all of these links so you don't have to write all this stuff down. We're just going to peruse through. First one is inactive account manager. So I'm in Google Accounts and I'm over here and you can see that this is with this particular account, my bbased1 account, my personal account. This is where I keep most of my stuff. I can go to my other Google accounts and see what are my inactive account managers set up for there. A good example of this would be anyone who's involved in any other kind of organization. For instance, the Joy Center. The Joy Center should have some inactive account managers set up and change those people from time to time. Or, you know, if you're in the Purple Guild or you're in the, you know, any of the organizations that you could be part of, you want to make sure that once there's a changing of the guard for boards and whatnot, that the next set knows how to access everything by having that access as inactive account managers. So first thing is it says manage your plan. I've set up a plan in case I can't use it. I can see it, edit, or turn off your plan anytime. What I wanted to do was make sure that I get email reminders. So Jackie, I'm thinking that maybe you didn't set up email reminders because it does remind me from time to time. I would say maybe once a month. It says, you know, do you want to review your account and make sure that people that are your managers are still the same ones? So we want to find how Jackie can find hers. So we'll get to that and remind me if I forget. But the first thing I can do right here at the top is turn off my plan. Well, I'm not doing that. I set up my plan because I really like it. All right, and then decide when Google. So you have lots and lots of options. It says, we'll only start this plan if you haven't used it for some time. Tell us how long we should wait. So I said 3 months. Honestly, if it would be very bizarre for me not to do something digitally for 3 months. And it says, we'll contact you 1 month before the time is up. So initially, what it's saying is 2 months. Within 2 months, they will contact me and say, are we going to activate this or not? And then if they don't hear a response from me, that's kind of their answer, right? And I can change this. I can go here and I can say I can do it 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months. I did the shortest time period. And then over here in the corner, I can either cancel my changes or I can save my changes. So I'm just going to cancel. It still stays at 3 months. Then it says, before we take action, we'll contact you multiple times by text messaging and email. So I gave them my cell phone number so that they can text message. And then they also are going to go with my primary email account, which is this account. But then I've also set up my recovery email, which is my junk email accounts, one I don't use for anything except for when somebody says you must have an email. And I go, okay, here you go. I'm never looking at it. But that's my managed recovery. Now I can change that. I can go in here and I can manage it. And I'm going to have to, if I'm going to make any major changes like that, then I have to use, so I had to use my password. My password manager nicely filled that in for me. I didn't have to do a thing. And here's my recovery email. I can change this right now. I can put the cursor in here and I can start to type and I can change it. And then I verify that that's the change I want to make. When I do that, what it's going to do is it's going to send me an email to this. So then I'll have to come out of here, go to my Yahoo account, log in, verify that that is my recovery account email, and then Google knows everything's good. I'm not changing that. I like it just the way it is. but that's where I can do that. So we go down. Next is who are we going to notify and what do we share? This is the best part of it, is because you can choose up to 10 people. Now, I would not recommend doing 10 people. That's kind of a lot. I picked two, my daughter and my husband, and I can change this at any time, just by editing here, or I can bloop, put them in the trash can. And it says they will be notified and given access to some of the data. I can also add another person. Decide if your inactive Google account should be deleted. It says when your Google account becomes inactive, they'll notify the contacts that I've added, these people up here. They will have 3 months to download my data. If they can't figure it out in 3 months, I can choose, and I don't have it that set up that right way right now. It says I can choose to toggle this on, and that would keep my inactive data 3 months after my account becomes inactive. What I'm essentially doing is I'm saying, okay, at that point in time, guys, if you haven't done anything with my stuff, then what you're going to do is not have access to it. It's all just going to be deleted. I think 3 months is sufficient amount of time. I also know that the two people who I've designated are extremely tech savvy, and they'll be able to handle it in 3 months. It says, if I go back up here, let's just look, okay, to editing. So if I'm going to edit my daughter on this, and there it is, it's just changed the email address. That's how the notification would happen. Now I'm going to go down in the corner. I'm going to click next. Now, here's where I get to make a lot of choices. What do I want to share with them? And I did not share everything. I've shared my calendar and I've shared my contacts. I've shared my Drive and my Google account, my pay, my photos, my Play Store, my notes, my mail, my maps, my profile, reminders, and saved. There's a lot of options there. I did not choose everything. I don't use all of those things, for one thing. But I also, and I can select all, or I can select none. I can unselect all of those at a time. You know, I don't use Blogger. I don't use assignments, art and culture. You know, I don't do any of that. I probably should have let her in on alerts. That would probably be useful. Chrome, Canvas. I mean, it's just not everything that I need to let her in on. And I can change that at any time. So I've made a change. Now I'm going to say next. Now what is it? Now they want her phone number. So there's her phone number. And then I get to add a personal message. And so I just did a little note to her, and then I save that. And she doesn't see that until my account goes inactive. So does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question.
Martin.
Are the, when they give those accounts to the recipients, are the passwords included?
I choose that.
Okay,
So what they do when they give that, that's a great question. When if I give them access to my Google account, then they have access to everything that I would access on my Google account. So let me just bop over there for a minute so you can see what I mean. If we're just blanketly sharing my Google account, I'm going to go out of all of my saved pages. Now I'm just in basic Google, right?
right.
Remember, when I go up here to my little icon in the upper right-hand corner and I click on that, it says manage your account. Now, which one do I want to manage? It's this one. This is the one that's the bbase@gmail.
Right.
And I go here to manage. So everything in here is part of my Google account, right? I go to security. When I go to security, this is where I do my security checkups and all of that. But when I go down here to my, for instance, password manager, 421 passwords saved, then they have access just as I do.
Yeah, so they have
So
the
they
password.
have absolutely everything that I have access to.
So they have their own password manager area as
No, they
opposed.
have access to mine because I've given them total access to my Google account.
Ah, okay. All right.
And that's where, when, just to define what is my Google account, when I go to that link, that's where everything is in my Google account, including all of my passwords.
So if you choose it, they'll do it, right? In other words, if you say, yeah, give them my passwords too, then it automatically goes in. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
Mhm.
Good question. All right, so let's go back a minute, and I just want to, I'm going to close this one and go back to inactive account. And just to be clear, you know, when I go here and it says, if I go back to Larissa and I clicked on her, and it first leads me through add a person to notify, and there's their email. I go to next. Whoops. Go to next. This is where I'm saying, Martin, what they get. Okay. So if I go here, right here is where I gave them pretty much everything.
That's the open door. All right. Yeah.
Google account. I chose Google account. And so by saying Google account, then I wanted you to see, what do I mean by Google account? And that's what we were looking at. Now I'm going to go just rotate through all this and save it. So Google account, and go here, go to Google account. What are we talking about again? Here we are. You know, that's my Google account. Here's my security. I said Google account, so that means everything in my Google account. So my personal information, you know, and we've got in personal information, there's all my stuff, my profiles, my data and privacy. If you haven't perused through here in a while, you should. You know, what you share with others, profile sharing, all of that, people and sharing.
Yeah.
All right. So
What-
that's one aspect of it. And we're going to get back, but I just wanted to, since we're bopping around here in Google, I want to look at this for a second because we're going to come back to this. People and sharing. So I'm in Google account and I'm in my Bee-Based One account over here. You can see with my icon. And then here's my pages for what's in my Google account. People and sharing is where you're going to look for this topic we're doing later on, which is family. We're not going to go there right now. We're going
Right.
back. Just remember,
Question.
I said we were going to do that. All right. Now, what I want to do real quick, go ahead, Linda.
It's to go back a little to, okay, so something happens to me, I'm not active on the computer for several months, and my son gets a phone call from one of these companies saying, hey, we have stuff for you. Would they really take this phone call?
No, it said text. It says Google will send you a text and an email.
Okay, I thought you said a call. Well, they asked for the phone number. That's
Right.
what.
They asked for the phone number, and it says we'll send by SMS, which is text, or an email. They send it both ways.
Okay.
Yes. And, you know, presumably you would let your son know in advance he is that. I mean, if he's your executor, then, you know, that would be logical.
Okay, and so it's necessary to set one up on Google, on Apple, on any accounts that I have?
Yes, I
Separate
would.
legacy accounts?
I
Okay.
would, because if you just do Apple Legacy, then all your Google stuff is going to dangle out there forever.
Okay,
Yeah. Good question.
thank you.
Martin,
Does legacy work basically the same way?
we're going to go there.
Okay, great. I'm standing by.
Basically, yes. Basically, yes. All right. So let's go back here now, and we are going to go to the Apple icon, and this is how to add a legacy account contact for your Apple ID. So, same basic thing. Someone you choose to have access to your data in your Apple account after you're dead. Interesting, it doesn't say like, or if you're incapacitated or your account isn't active for 3 months, but it's basically the same thing, except that Apple requires a death certificate.
Ah, there you go.
So this is different in that's a huge difference, is that this requires a death certificate and Apple's approval to verify that you're actually dead. So legacy contacts. First of all, you have to have operating system of 15 on iPad and your phones, and Mac is 12. So you have to have up to those versions. So if you have older versions and you haven't updated, this won't work. And then these are the things that are included: photos, messages, notes, files, apps, backups, and more. Also things like stuff you've liked and subscriptions, payment information, passwords. Passkeys can't be accessed by your legacy contact. So in that situation, what I would do is make sure that your person, your legacy contact does have your passwords. Because it's saying they're not going to give you that. That's a big difference between Google and Apple.
Ah,
right.
yeah, okay.
Now, it says it can be anyone you choose. And here's what they have to have. They have to have the access key that you generate when you choose them as your contact, and your death certificate. Apple reviews the requests from legacy contacts and gives them access to your account only after they verify the information. When it's approved, the contact receives a special ID that they can set up and use to access your account. Your Apple ID and password no longer work, and your activation lock is removed from your devices. So activation
now hiring. I miss.
Hello. So just to be clear that's another big difference. Inactive account status, you can change that. Legacy account, you have to have a death certificate to actually get access to this way. So that would mean that it shuts down your Apple ID and your password, essentially blocking you out of the account. So it wouldn't work on a temporary basis at all. This is a very permanent basis. And then when we scroll down, and here's a link, and you'll get these of how your contact actually requests. So let's say you're gone and your son or daughter or whoever wants to access the account, and you can, send them all of this stuff in advance. Well, it's a good idea to do that so that they know what's going on, especially when they say, huh, what's that? And so here is to add the legacy account. Again, it reiterated what you need in terms of operating systems. You also must have two-factor authentication turned on for your Apple ID. So we've talked about two-factor authentication many, many, many times. I think Apple actually kind of requires it now. Apple folks confirm that.
A lot of times. I like it.
Yeah.
But does it require it?
I'm not sure.
Neither am I.
Not sure. I thought I had seen some things where it was like, you need to make this happen now. And we might not even think about it anymore because it's so simple. But how you would know, if you have it is, or if you don't have it, I think if you were to, for instance, turn off your iPhone, like actually power off, and then when you power back on, I think it would require you to sign in with your Apple ID not your Apple ID, with your PIN and your face. Yeah. Your PIN or your symbol and your face, which is your two-factor. But if you didn't set those up, then it would probably prompt you to do that at that point in time.
When
Is
I
there
power
anybody in the
down-
room who
yeah,
has
when I-
Apple who doesn't have two-factor?
So I know when I power down, when I turn off my phone, all it requires is one or the other. It doesn't look for both.
But you have both.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference, because I think I've seen it on somebody's. Does anybody have Apple phones or iPads that is not two-factor authenticated as of right now? See, I'm asking the wrong crowd. Everybody in here is too smart.
Well, I haven't,
Okay, I just powered on and it did not require anything but my password.
Correct, me too.
Right.
My
That's
pen.
Interesting.
My pen, not my password. A pen.
Right, my PIN, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, it's my PIN.
Well,
Yes.
but
Then pass.
my iPad requires my finger and my
Been
code.
muted, I guess.
so here's how I think, again, I'm going back to this group is too smart because they've already enacted things. Linda, do us a favor and test this sometime throughout the week and come back with a report with us. What I want you to do is, are you going to see your son at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Does he have your PIN for your phone?
probably, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
because he,
Okay. So what you would do, because I could do this if Scott were here. Darn him for playing pickleball every Wednesday. He's got his phone with him. But what happens is when I need to, he's driving and he goes, text so-and-so that will be a few minutes later, whatever. Because for some reason the voice through the car thing isn't working or whatever. And so anyway, every once in a while, I'll pick up the phone and I know his PIN, so I put that in. But sometimes I'll pick up the phone and, swipe and then hold it in front of his face. But he's driving or he's got glasses on and, it's not working. So I'm putting in the PIN. But what I want you to try out, my theory on this is turn your phone off and then hand it to your son. Because I'm thinking that maybe it's not asking you for anything else because you're already looking at it. So it's already got number one, which is your face. But if you give it to him, we'll know whether or not it's requiring that on a startup.
Good idea.
okay,
That makes sense? Because he
Yes.
has the pin. So, if he's holding it and putting it in the pin in the pin, that might be enough. And we'll know when he tests this out. But if he's holding it and the pin isn't enough, it won't let him in because it's his face and pin. So it is requiring two-factor, but we're just not aware because our face is right there already.
Betsy,
Okay.
I think that is only on the newer models because I only have to do my finger, but I only have finger recognition, not facial recognition. So I
On you-
still only have to put my pin in, just one thing. And my
No, but
iPad.
that's two. That's
Yeah.
two. That's my
Oh,
point.
no, I don't have to do my finger.
Oh, you don't have to do your finger
No, I just have to do my pin.
after you power down?
Correct. When I restart, power
Okay.
down, restart,
We have to do any of that?
just the pin.
Okay.
But I have an
And-
old iPad, very old.
Okay. Joyce, is yours old?
Mine's also a few years old. Yeah.
Okay.
So again, it's just the pen.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how we got so far off track, but I'm thinking, I still think that for the most part, you want to go ahead and get your two-factor authentication on all of your devices that are Apple, because this legacy contact won't work if you don't have it. So it must be turned on. So turn it on, get used to using it, so that you have it there. Next thing is they require that person is over 13. To add a legacy contact, you need to be over the age of 13. That's how I'm reading this. You need to be over the age of 13. So, and we kind of get into this later on when we look at family and sharing. But essentially it's saying that a 12-year-old can't set up a legacy contact for themselves. It can be anyone you want. They can be any age, and they don't have to have an Apple ID or an Apple device. So if you live in a house divided, or your family is all Google and you're Apple, that's perfectly fine. Oh no, they have to be over the age. Now I think this is funny. They can be any age, but they need to be over 13 also. There's a magic number in there. So, but the nice thing is that it doesn't matter, because what they'll just do is they'll access it through the internet. So they don't have to, you know, they'll be going through a link that is just through the internet versus going through an Apple device. All right, so, and then how to do it. And like I said, I'll be sharing this link with you so you don't have to worry about it. But adding a legacy account for your Apple ID. So you go on your device, you go to settings, tap your name, right? So, they kind of skipped that part. So I'm going to stop the share for a second. I'm going to go to my trusty sample device here, which I know the PIN for. And so when I go to the Apple device and I go to settings, I can do it upside down and backwards. There we go. And when I get to settings, right there, where his icon is and his name is, that's where you're going to go. Right there. So I'm going to tap on that. So it says go to the name. And when I scroll down, let's go back to our instructions for a minute. And it says go to settings, go to name, and it says tap sign in and security. Okay, so we're going to go down here. This one says password and security, and I had read that somewhere else. It's not necessarily just sign in and security. It can also say password and security. So I'm going to tap there, because his doesn't say sign in and security. It says password and security, and it is on the side here. It's the second one down, password and security. So when I tap in there, and it takes a moment, and it's got, this is where I would sign in with Apple, change my password. Now I can't read backwards. Two-factor authentication, that's where I would turn that off or on. So that you can take a note of if you haven't done it already. What's the trusted phone number? So this iPad is associated with his iPhone, so that's his trusted number. And then there are there's security keys, verification code, account recovery. You should review these things. Make sure you've got them set up the way you want. And then second from the bottom, get this right, legacy contact, right there. Okay, so you don't, like I said, you don't have to write this down, because I'm going to send you to the link to the article, which then gives you the step-by-step how to get there. All right, questions? Questions on that so far?
I have a question, Betsy. So if you have an iPad and you have a Google account, you got to do both places separately.
You do.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they don't talk to each other.
I know. Very well.
Martin.
Well, the same approach to get into legacy work on an Amazon iPad.
Interesting question.
Or should I just try to fumble through it, you know?
Was it?
Well,
Legacy.
Is that like a fire?
Amazon iPad.
Is that a fire? Is that a fire
Yeah.
something?
What's the difference
Yeah.
if it's an iPad or an Amazon iPad?
but it's not an iPad, I think. What is it called,
Yeah.
Martin?
It's a Fire 10 or something like that.
It's a
Oh,
Kindle.
okay, so not an iPad then.
Right.
A Fire what?
I'll get it. Hang on. Just a
It's a
minute.
Must be
Amazon.
like a tissue or some
Amazon
Kleenex.
Right.
Yeah. And
Okay.
Okay, I'm getting there.
That's so you read the books and stuff.
It's a Kindle.
Right. Like a Kindle.
Yeah, here it is. Fire HD 10, 11th generation. That's the iPad. I don't know if they can
Okay.
see this.
That's a great question.
Yeah, I can fumble through it. I imagine if I get into these settings, must be something there, you know?
So
But-
what I'm going to do, I'm sure there is, but we can also just kind of look at it right here for a second. So managing your device content and account. And this is just an article. So again, we're going to get to this next, which is a family library.
Right.
Let's see what else. Cancel, transferred, accessibility, manage kids, add or delete a kid, account management, kids, troubleshooting,
Holy shit.
manage your
They didn't
device,
even get to
right
the
on the
road.
side, not even pulled over.
share
Yeah.
your library, update privacy. Okay, so since we went, let's look at this.
Yeah, all right,
Because where we've gone each time, it was in privacy and security.
right.
Manage settings. Okay, so this might be where you look for it.
Okay,
Go to privacy. So this part of updating your privacy settings might be where you're going to find it. But let's just ask the really simple question. Does Amazon have a legacy account?
there you go.
Feature. And notice the answer is coming from AI.
Right, wow.
Legacy transformation, your guide to allow the pictures to move. Nope. Legacy seller. Nope. Legacy account. Let's scroll down. A legacy account is an account that is old or created. Nope. What
If it-
happens to inactive? Jackie, were you
If
saying
it's-
something?
If it's, for me, if it were just books, what would be the point?
Yeah.
Right.
The account holder would be notified by email after 730 days of inactivity. All files will be deleted.
2 years.
Yeah.
Account holders are notified prior to, and the customer would reactivate. So it looks like it's an automatic thing.
Yeah, okay. All right. There it is. Oh, all right. So what happens to
Can a deactivated account be reactivated? Bereavement support. Okay, here you go.
yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah, the camera.
Okay, so this
Out
this would be
space.
a useful article. I will send this as well for those, because even if you have let's say you don't have an Amazon Fire tablet, but I'll bet I'm the only person in this room who doesn't have an Amazon account. We'll put it that way. And so all of your stuff that's
don't
on
either.
Amazon,
Yeah, we do.
What?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
all of your stuff that's on Amazon is there, I mean, it's out there. So you might not want that out there, just like you don't want the rest of your digital data out there.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Good.
So that's thank you for bringing that up, Martin.
Well, I have
I'm
many-
guessing, since we're delving into there, that there's probably also the same thing for Kindle.
Yeah, Right.
If you have a Kindle reader, and again, Jackie's question is useful. Who cares?
well, Kindle
But-
is, yeah,
but-
Kindle is, all Kindles on my iPad too. So,
Yeah, yeah. And but you know, I mean, I don't know, Jackie. Yes and no. Yes and no. If I'm sure I could think of some hypothetical situations where it would matter. But I'd have to enact my really crazy creative brain to because there's always somebody out there thinking of a way to scam something. For instance, one of the scams that I have read about in recent years is literally scamming dead people.
Yep.
You know, so those social security numbers are no longer active. So that means that people have used them to start up accounts and, you know, to scam systems, setting up whatever, being, you know, with fake IDs, fake everything.
yeah.
So I think maybe, I guess as a crime prevention kind of thing, it would be a good
Well,
idea.
I just have to say, and this sounds irreverent, I'm dead,
Okay.
right? So whatever. I have no
That's what I was saying.
control.
You
Who
look pretty
cares?
good.
Yeah.
You
No,
care.
not who cares. I mean, really, you can only do what you can do. But
True.
if somebody steals my voter registration, I have no control over that, right?
True. True. The only way
you're
that it
dead.
would be impacted is, okay, we'll go there. You're dead and your estate hasn't settled yet. Sometimes estates don't settle for a year
Yeah.
or more. And if your estate hasn't settled, then it's not doing your kids any favors. As the simplest deal, you know, is that, you know, we intend for whatever's left over to go to our kids, not to go to some random hacker, right? So I would say for that reason that would be useful. And having been somebody who, you know, had to settle an estate, that job is difficult enough, you know, in the emotional and everything else that's involved, the legal, the, you know, just it's such a complicated task to begin with that why make it harder for them? Unless your kids made your life hard and then rock on.
And they deserve it. And there's a book
Sounds like Maureen.
that I bought. It said, "I'm dead, now what?" You know,
Yeah.
and it has everything to list, and I'll do the best I can. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, that's part of the adulting process too, is that, you know, they'll learn to deal with it and they'll help their friends, whatever. Good point though. Martin.
On my Amazon iPad, I have a Kindle app. Are Kindle and Amazon the same thing?
Kindle is part of Amazon.
Ah, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. So I can access
There are
my-
many things that are part of Amazon
Yeah, yeah,
that you might not be aware of.
including the Washington Post. Yeah,
Are they really? Really?
yeah. Bezos bought the Washington Post a couple of years ago.
Interesting.
Joyce.
I think one of the things that is confusing about what Martin is saying is instead of saying a tablet, he's saying an iPad. An iPad is a specific type of tablet.
That's what I
So you
meant,
don't have a,
tissue
you
versus
don't have an
Kleenex.
Amazon iPad, you have an Amazon tablet.
I see. Okay. Well, I'll hold
Okay,
it.
but I have an iPad and I have a Kindle app on it.
Hold it up. I'll hold it. How's that? See? Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
So a couple of issues here. Joyce, you're absolutely right. So, and Linda is right. And Martin is right. You're all right. So you can have, just like I can have a Google Pixel phone. So it's an Android style phone, but I have Apple Music on my phone.
There you are.
I have an Apple account. I have Apple ID. Oh, I've told you this before. I'm a diehard Apple Music fan because I had an iPod at some point in time when those things existed. I actually still have the iPod, but I don't even know if it works. But yeah, so when and that's why I knew a lot about how to help Martin with his crazy Apple Music nonsense,
Oh.
because we had all of my music on my computer through my Apple account. At that time, that computer had one of those little trays that you could pop open, dump a CD into, and take the music and put it into your Apple account.
Right.
So, my thought process is I paid back in the day, $12 for this CD. It's my music. I bought the right to use this music with my $12, so I can use it any way I want. Apple really fought against that for a while and did not want, like, they let me put the music on my computer and they let me put it in my account, but then they tried to claim it and say, well, no, you can't use this music everywhere you want because it's our music. No, it's mine. So we really had to struggle to figure out. And I think Apple was figuring out at the same time. Now it's all pretty seamless, and I can't download music from a CD because I don't have a device that'll do that anymore, but I went and give Apple $11 every month because I like unlimited access to music. Look at Linda's face. I love it. I do. I love music and I want to hear it all. So
Well,
I'm
won't-
working my way through it.
I won't give up my iTunes. I paid a lot of money for it, so.
Exactly.
My
So
iTunes is uploading, right? It's updating right at this moment. Yes.
nice. So yes, so I can have a Android phone and have an Apple account and an Apple app on here. Likewise, when I bought the iPhone for Joy, I took off all the iStuff or hid it or unsubscribed to it, whatever. And I put on all Google stuff because everything with the Joy Center is Google based, so we have Google Drive, Google, Gmail and all of that. It was already Google based, so it was easier. So I just put those apps on the iPhone. So you can have the apps, you can have the access to that information in many different ways, like having Kindle on your iPad.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So, and any of the apps that you put on your devices, you have an account with.
Well,
And you
just let me get it straight before I leave. Do I have an iPad here?
You said you have an Amazon Fire. You
Amazon.
do not have an iPad.
All right, what do I have?
You have an Amazon Fire.
Okay,
A tablet.
You have a tablet.
tablet, Amazon Fire, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tablet.
Yeah. It's a tablet. So I also have, I have a tablet that is not an iPad. It's an Android based tablet. And it's Lenovo, I think, is the brand that makes the hardware. The whole thing I'm holding is Lenovo, which is just a hardware company.
Right.
Just like you can have an Acer notebook and
Right.
Apple just claims it all. Right.
Right.
So, but you can have many different kinds of tablets
All right.
for sure.
I got a tablet, Amazon tablet. Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Next thing I want to touch base on, because we are now running out of time, but I want to make sure that we do talk about this for a minute. And here we go. On Apple, there is, and in Google, there is something called family sharing. I think some of you are doing this already, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew what's coming your way so you can look at it if you're not already using it. So you can share stuff in both platforms with a group of people. With Apple, it is 6 family members, and you can share music, movies, TV shows, apps, books, subscriptions, including iCloud Plus, all without sharing an Apple account. You can separately, if you had younger kids, set up an Apple account for kids with permissions that limit their screen time, gives you opportunities to approve their spending and any downloads. These are good for parents to know, and your kids, if your grandkids are young, your kids probably know about this already. But you can also set up Apple Cash for a child or a teen for them to learn how to manage their money. And then it gives all of the directions right here, how to start a family group, where you're going to go to it. Again, it's the same place we went before. And remember, I said, remember this, open up your settings, tap your name, and then you're going to tap family or family sharing, and you're going to set up your family. And here's how to do it with Mac. And then you invite people. And this must be on an operating system of 16. So even more recent than the 15, which is the legacy stuff, must be 16. And there it is, how to do it on your phone. And so there's all that. How to join a family group. So you're going to get an invitation. If somebody includes you in the family group, you can accept or decline. Now, why would you decline? You can only be part of one family at a time. So that is one of the restrictions with the Apple family groups, is you can only be part of one family. So if let's say you've got 3 kids and each of your children have set up a family group because they want to include their kids in it, well, they can't all include you in it if you're Apple. Only one can include you in it. And so, you have to choose who's got better taste in music and movies. It probably won't even matter that much. All right. In Google, you have the same type of thing. And that's where we were going before. This is your family. So I was in Google account, and this is your family on Google. So I can go backwards and see, how did I get here again? Remember, oh yeah, we were in people and sharing. How did I get here? I just went to my Google account. Remember, I click my little icon and it takes me to manage my Google account. And that takes me to this main home page of my everything in my Google world. And I go down here and I go to people and sharing. Under people and sharing, here's your family. You can create a family group of up to 6 people and get more out of Google and get started. And then this just leads you right through it. Create a family group. And this is why you would want to set up digital ground rules for kids. You can also share calendars, which is really cool, because if you're trying to, let's say you're helping manage somebody. When I was managing basically my parents' life, had we all had this, it would have been so much easier. But now I know it exists, so I'll use it in the future. You can also share games, videos, join subscription services, connect with family by sharing photos, messages, locations, stuff like that. So then here's the Google suite of products. This is Family Share. There's YouTube, YouTube TV, YouTube Music, Google Play Store. This is Play. This is something with Play. Google One, Calendar, Keep, and Google Assistant. So click on here and you can learn more about how all of that works. The other thing that I learned while we were while I was doing the research for this, is that you can also, if you have a Google One account, which is storage, which I do, I pay for storage. I pay for 100 gigabytes of storage, and I'm less than half still. I keep managing it. I like to keep it under the halfway mark. But if I did Family Share with Google One, I can share my storage. Everybody who has a Google account has 15 gigabytes for free. Everybody. If you decide to share your Google storage with somebody, like let's just say I decided to share with Martin, and he's almost out of storage space, and so he needs more storage, and he's my uncle and he's my favorite uncle, so I want to make sure that he doesn't have to go buy storage. I've got plenty of storage. Martin, I'm going to include you on my Google One account. And so once he's used up his 15 gigabytes that's free to everybody, then he can actually use my storage. Okay,
Oh.
so it doesn't mean I have access to his stuff,
Right.
but it means that I'm sharing that 100 gigabyte space with him. So it's kind of like if we were to have a shared storage unit, you know, he can get in, but he can't open my boxes, but he can put some of his boxes in the storage space too. He can access his storage. Martin.
Okay, now, if I wanted to transfer my Kindle to somebody else's to share it with somebody, is that possible?
Probably.
Yeah, wow.
Probably because, but you would have to set up family sharing. So Kindle is Amazon, right?
Yes.
And so you would have to, and like I said, I only researched Apple and Google for this particular class, but I'm
Yes.
assuming that they're going to have similar things. So I would look and see, go into your device and look and see what your options are. It's going to be family sharing, probably.
Stumble through it. Okay, good.
I would stumble through it, come back and let us know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my son-in-law is a radical kind of guy. I'm sure he'd like reading a lot of these books I have, but we'll see how far I get. Okay.
Okay, awesome. And then report back how it went.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll
We
give
are
it a
out of
shot.
time. They're setting up their yoga mats. So everybody have a great week. Hopefully you got something out of this and you go in and you start playing and setting up, you know, if you want to, family sharing, but certainly set up your legacy accounts and your inactive managers.
Great information today. Thank you very much, Betsy.
Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.